can see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed. Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3 and 4, working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yes, if we go right off the track in the final quarter, that'll have Fuller get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block there by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try him here, boys. They're going to do it. Gritsko backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's a huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane. They're trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Morelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
SCRS Ferrari Challenge enters its 5th round of the season as we approach the halfway point of the 2020 fall season. Road Atlanta, Mosport, Watkins Glen, and Brands Hatch are all in the rearview mirror, but tonight we take on Circuit Zolder in Belgium. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Eric Mickey for our 5th round of the season. Bathurst next week in Australia, then Suzuka, Road America, and Sebring to finish it all off, Eric. But this week it's Zolder. This is a racetrack we don't visit very much here on Sim TV, but every time we have, it's been a fun race to watch. Tonight, Ferrari GT3 machines take on for 3 events this evening.
Absolutely. This is a great racetrack to come and drive and watch some racing at. You've got some pretty big sweeping corners that start out the circuit, and then you funnel into these really tight chicanes for most of the second half of the track. All the corners are very tight chicane corners and very difficult to get through with even a little bit of competition next to you. So it'll be really fun to see these guys manage the first half of the track versus the second half of the track and see who comes out on top.
Our 3 events tonight, it's going to start out with, of course, our AM race for the evening. Then we'll have 2 Pro-Am races to finish out the night. Quick sprint races at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago. Some carnage there. I wasn't around for Brands Hatch, Eric, so what was the storylines coming out of England and the UK a week ago?
Last week we had a lot of incidents, a lot of small incidents. We saw Watkins Glen last time you were with us. We had that big accident up through the S's. Last week we had a lot of isolated incidents, people just pushing a little bit too far with how tight some of the corners are there and how easy it is to clip the grass in those high-speed sections. And we had a lot of that last week, a lot of one-on-one incidents and cars just getting themselves into trouble, as well as some hard feelings between Thomas Morris and Ryan Plord. Morris will not be here tonight as he is having some technical difficulties with his equipment, so he was not going to be out on track to see how that develops, but Florida's out here tonight, and he's looking to bounce back from a pretty disappointing race last week.
So qualifying underway for our AM race of the evening. Mo Islam jumps to the top of the board in the number 206 car, sweeping through the first corner here. This racetrack is challenging for several reasons, and one of them you're going to see on corner exit here in just a moment. Sweeping through turn number 2, Mo Islam's going to track out. See those big gnarly curbs on the exit? Those things are bad to run into. We also have a handful of chicanes to negotiate here. This racetrack, similar in many ways to a course like Montreal, where you've got some straightaways, a couple slow sweepers, and then you've got a couple tight chicanes to negotiate. Islam's heading down there right now, and we're going to watch him bump over the curbing here, but they're not really linear jumps. They're pretty sharp, aggressive curbs, and it's going to slam the body of the car back down on the racetrack. So Islam goes through there pretty well. Brian Sohn jumps up to second. Ryan Plord, though, to the top of the board with a 129.140. So he is the quickest right now in qualifying, but still a handful of drivers yet to come across the line. Anthony Montello in the number 24. Dominic Dornenberg in the number 913 is out on track, coming down to lay down his first lap. Christian Oost is out on track as well. Oost, I think, has actually gone through into 5th in the complex SimWorks car as he comes through turn number 1.
Oost has not really had the season that he wanted to have this year. Looking for a very strong bounce back on the second half of the season as we start. This is pretty much the halfway point of our 9-week season, so this is exactly when we need to start turning things around and have a better second half of your season.
So checking through some other cars in the field here, Jim Bedson is out on track as well, and that brightly colored number 13, that kind of looks like a jacket from the 1980s as he comes across the line to start a flying lap. Sean Foe's out on track as well in the SCCA Foundation car. That's a good looking livery. Kind of reminds me a lot of the Menards NASCAR liveries with that bright yellow base and some red and black out there as well. Benjamin Pagula on course, and what I can only describe as I guess pattern confetti. That's like a stock pattern website background. And Murphy Nichols is here this evening in the number 55. He didn't seem very confident when I was monitoring the Discord earlier this week, so we'll see how Murphy fares. Andrew Mickey has gone through in the Bombshell Racing Team number 86. Brian Schmelski has just sandwiched himself between Brian Sohn and Ryan Plourde. But with our sprint race format here, I think qualifying is ultra important. But I think the Pro-Am races is what I think a lot of drivers are focused on, and the Am race here for the drivers, at least at the top of the board, is often easy picking. But we'll see how Brian Schmelski can do as he works through the second of the 2 chicanes at this racetrack.
Yeah, on the Discord all week, the talk has been, especially since Tuesday in that opening practice, is exactly the curbing issues around the track. You've got the first few corners that if you hit the curb just the wrong way, it can send your car in a direction you don't want it to go into. Then you've got the really big curbs at some of the chicanes that can really mess up your car, and you find yourself just kind of like taking off and landing and hoping things work out on the other side. And then you've got those sausage curbs on the inside of the second chicane that can really damage the front end of your car and your tires and wheels, as I'm seeing Eric Brown come over and do just that in the final chicane on the circuit before coming to the start-finish line to complete one of his qualifying laps.
So 2 minutes left here in qualifying before we fire up for 3 races here this evening. Special announcement coming before the Pro-Am races a little bit later tonight. Again, thanks for joining us here on Sim TV. This has been a wild couple of weeks. I had a trip to NOLA Motorsports Park last weekend. My relocation process to Chicago, Illinois is going, albeit slowly. Got some apartment shopping going on tomorrow, but moving Sim TV from Rochester, New York to Chicago has a lot of technical challenges, including making sure that you don't drive your neighbors crazy and also having good enough internet to continue. So there's a lot of questions that need to get answered in the next couple weeks. Right now, I'm kind of holed up in the Grid Life offices. I've got Gigablast internet out here, and I can be as loud as I want because it's basically a massive recording studio here at Fort Knox. So Benjamin Pagula across the line again, advances to 11th. Only 4 drivers have not laid down times. Those are Nichols, Bunch, Bedson, and Foes at the bottom of the order.
Top of the order, we're seeing the longtime Am Cup division drivers here in SCRS at the top of the board with Ryan Plourde, Brian Zabelski, Christian Oost, and Drew Lidke, our top 4, with Brian Sohn rounding out the top 5. Mo Islam just jumps up to the 2nd position. He's our first new face atop the board so far this session for this round here at Zolder.
Morelli dives into the final chicane, staying well off those sausages on the left, maybe nips him on the right, now tracks on out. Across the line now for Morelli, needs to improve on a 130.158. He will do that at 129.941. That's good enough to launch him to, I think, 8th place, although it was a dirty lap, I believe, so it will not count for a lap time. 27 seconds left here in qualifying. Ryan Plourde will stay atop the standings unless Corey Bunch can improve. I don't think he'll get there. So Ryan Plourde is your pole sitter for SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round number 5, AM qualifying. And again, 4 drivers did not lay down times. We've got our sprint race coming up here tonight for AM, and then we got our Pro-Am races to round out the evening. Next week we'll be headed to Mount Panorama at Bathurst, Australia on the 19th of November, 1 week from now. 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central on Sim TV. Qualifying complete. We'll head down to the racetrack here and get things underway. Predictions here, Eric. How's this race going to go? We haven't been to Zolder in a while.
we really haven't had. I'm not sure if SCRS has ever been to Zolder, or if we have. It's been a long time since
Audi
we
Cup, way back in the day. I know he came here.
Long time ago. So that was a long time ago. Don't really know what we're in for tonight. There has not been a favorite to come out of the crop of AM drivers this season. We have Corey Bunch and Nicholas Morelli with wins. We have Ryan Daner with a win. He's no longer driving with us for the rest of the season. So I don't really know that we have a favorite, but based on going back to the previous couple of seasons and looking at our top 5 starting positions, I would have to say your winner is probably going to come from the likes of Ryan Plord, Brian Sabelski, Christian Ost, or Drew Lidke. But Mo Islam did have that time in second place to start this race, so let's see what he can do with these veteran drivers of the AM Cup.
So in just a moment, we'll bring you your starting lineup. Let's have a look at our weather information here again. It's not usually crazy here in SCRS. 65 air temp, 66 track temp, low humidity, so kind of a cool afternoon here. So I don't think that'll affect grip conditions all that much. Short sprint races, we won't see the conditions change throughout the race. Pretty much how you start is how you will finish conditions-wise. All right, pace car about to roll off here for our full pace lap. Let's have a run down through the order here, Eric. On row number 1, it's going to be Ryan Plord in the 74 and the 206 of Mo Islam.
Row 2, you're going to have Brian Sabelski and Christian Ost, longtime teammates now operating out of separate garages.
In row number 3, starting in 5th, Drew Lidke, the number 121 longtime AM competitor, rolls off in 5th, right alongside the 03 of Brian Sohn.
Behind them makes up the row of Eric Brown and Andrew Mickey.
In row number 5, Nicholas Morelli in the 095. Dominic Dornenberg, new driver to the series this season, has had some success, starts 10th in the 913 car.
The left place is Benjamin Pagula making his return to the series this season after competing in the opening round, and Anthony Montello trying to continue his strong showing.
Steve Bunting rolls off 13th in the 83, and Darren Heath starts 14th in the number 45.
15th, Corey Bunch, first driver to not take a time. He's been pretty fast in the AM Cup so far. He's starting in the back here tonight. We'll have to see what he can do from 15th. Murphy Nichols, as we have talked about his struggles all season long, starting 16th.
Sean Foes and Steve Bunting rounding out the rest of the field here as the field begins to warm up their tires and get set for what should be about an 11-lap race, 15 minutes scheduled for our event here tonight. Make sure that you don't disappear after the checkered flag falls. We've got 2 more races with even more cars added to the grid here in just a moment. We've been growing that AM lineup as of late, Eric, so tell me a little bit about the process again, because for those that are new watching tonight, there is a process for how the classes are selected, and once again, this is only the AM category cars with the yellow contingencies and wing end plates. We'll have the pros join us here in a little while with red additions to their livery. So tell me how that process is selected and how it's changed from the beginning of the season.
So starting out, we generally will classify new drivers based on perceived skill level, based on their iRacing results, their iRatings, those type of figures that we can get our hands on. But for the most part, these drivers are considered AM drivers based on their performance throughout their history as competitors in the SCRS League. So the majority of these guys have been around for season after season, and just based on their overall performance, they have been deemed to be in the AM division. Other drivers will start the season classified based on things like iRating, as I mentioned before, and then after the first couple of weeks, we will take a look at performance and reclassify drivers as needed. From there on, we will continue that process throughout the season with new drivers coming in and so on. So it's really all just kind of looking at the performance of each driver.
Field works their way through the final chicane. Bit of a slide there from the 74 as he comes on through and already shooting away. Green flag in the air, racing from Zolder. SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round number 5 underway as the 74 pulls away down the front straight. Mo Islam slots into second. Ost third. Shbelski fourth. Sohn fifth. Side by side behind him. There, I think, is Drew Lidke right in front of Andrew Mickey. Mickey's going to cross over to the left and have a run on the outside to turn number 2.
Redenzo Pole Award sitter Brian Plord taking advantage of the rules to start races here. Once the pace car is on pit road off the racing surface, the leader has control to start the race when he pleases to. And he made sure that because of that chicane coming through and the pace car being off track, he was able to get a great start and a jump on the rest of the field.
He did get a really good start. A couple shuffling drivers in the background of this shot. Dominic Dornenberg, I believe, is one of them up the inside from 12th starting position. Oh, and he's going to slip, and no, that's Darren Heath, or actually, excuse me, Anthony Montello that's gone around all similar looking cars. And he has looped it and and got turned around backwards on the first of the two chicanes. Eric Brown, Nicholas Morelli, they're going at it here. Morelli off of the dirt on the inside, going to have to come back on and nail the sausage curb. He'll lose 3 spots in this exchange.
That chicane, so difficult to be side by side. Even when you're trying to let someone go and give people room, it's just so hard to be side by side there. Those curves are out there, keeping you in contact.
It's Eric Brown. He got hammered from behind. I think that was Benjamin Pagula that was fighting with him. And they definitely got together. Let's have a quick look at how that one formed. As soon as I can get this to cooperate, it doesn't look like it's going to.
I'm guessing it was probably just going to be a matter of missing of the brake zone by Pagula and getting in too hot as we see Brown coming to pit lane to get his quick repair. These drivers do have one fast repair to get the car cleaned up, reset, and go out there and finish the race.
I'm just going to do a quick restart here. The timing app just locked up on me for whatever reason, so we'll jump back up to the front here, get the overlays fired back up, and we'll continue there. We kind of saw that happen as it happened, but that's going to be a frustrating way for Eric Brown to get kind of knocked out of what was a pretty solid start to the race. So up front, Ryan Plord, Mo Islam, Christian Ost, 1 through 3, then Shabalski, Brian Sohn, Drew Lidke, and more as they work their way through lap number 2.
Yeah, here's where they got to get to work. Ryan Plord with a 33.60 last time by. Mo Islam with a 34.68. So he's got a lot of work to do to cut down that gap to Ryan Plord and try to start reeling him in with Christian Ost following closely behind. Just over 12 minutes to get it done. They still have a shot, but they need to close that gap now.
Christian Ost has been an AM competitor for quite some time, and he's been pretty skilled at it in the past. He's battled up front often, and right now he sits in 3rd, a couple spots back from claiming a race win here. 12 minutes to go here in our first race of the evening. Behind them, here's Drew Lidke and Andrew Mickey, still kind of hanging out in the bottom half of the top 10 from 6th and 7th and 8th. There's Nicholas Morelli. Right in front of them, Brian Sohn and Brian Shabalski as they chase each other down the front straight for 4th.
And they've got Drew Lidke in 6th. Lidke's lost a position since the start of the race. And Andrew Mickey having a strong run in 7th. I'll be honest, when I saw him starting as far up as I did, I was a little bit surprised, and I think he may be too, even at the fact that he's running in 7th place right now. So he's looking to have a pretty good race here tonight with Zolder. I think this is a track that he specifically wanted to get on the schedule. It was a must-have for him when putting together the schedule. So he must have known that it was going to be something he would enjoy racing, and he's definitely showing that right now.
So Brian Sohn tapped the brakes just before they get to the braking zone to avoid running into Brian Shabalski. Lidke follows from behind for 4th place right in front of them. This is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment as they head towards the 2nd chicane on the brakes. Watch those sausage curbs. Not only can they damage the suspension, Eric, they can also damage the aerodynamics of those front splitters. And that's something that you want to keep attached and working to its maximum performance level on these cars. As this is, I wouldn't call this track super aero dependent, but that first sector is pretty fast. You don't want to be damaging your aero pieces if you can help it.
Yeah, absolutely. That 3rd corner before going down that straightaway into that first chicane is really crucial, that you have all the grip you can get aerodynamically and within the tires to get through there as fast as possible to not give up any time. As you said, most of this track is not aero dependent, but that first few corners are pretty important.
In the background a little bit, Andrew Mickey and Nicholas Morelli, 7th and 8th. This is now the closest battle on the track. 0.2 of a second separated them as they came out of the final corner. Now it's half a second. Mickey gets the run down the front straightaway, jumping up the road just a little bit. Shabalski, Sohn, and Lidke all accordioning together here with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, we've got a couple different groups of cars out here running close together. Christian Ost still following just a few tenths behind Mo Islam. Islam has not been able to close the gap to the leader Ryan Ford, although they are both running better lap times. He's not that much slower than he was to Ryan earlier in the race, but still Ryan's been able to beat them on lap time the last few laps as well. So under 10 minutes to go, and they've still got some work to do if they're going to have any chance at first place. But at some point, if you're Christian Ost, you have to realize that if you have a shot at second, you just got to take it and maybe throw away your opportunity of chasing down the lead.
Yeah, I think the lead's probably gone at this point. Ryan Plord has got a pretty solid 1.5 second gap. Benjamin Pagula now under attack from Corey Bunch in the 69 behind him. That's 0.4 of a second. And one thing about this racetrack that we do know from the past is that it is a little tricky to get passes done as Anthony Montello goes around for a second spin somewhere. Or if he had some help. Let's go back and have a look He just got in a little hot into the chicane.
That is the most difficult corner on this track, if you ask me. It's the one I struggle with the most. You come around that bend after climbing the hill, and then you have to really push it to get through that corner with the speed you need to carry, but it's so easy to just get it wrong.
For second place, Mo Islam still under attack from Christian Ost, looking off the rear wing of the number 206 Complex Simworks car, tucked in behind.
That's that all-important turn 3 they're coming up to now and going through to get that run into the next, to the first chicane. As we have Andrew and Mickey side by side with Dominic Dornenberg.
Yeah, and here comes Benjamin Pagula, smelling blood in the water from these two fighting, and Corey Bunch as they head down to the chicane. 4-car fight for position here. That's all for 8th place.
Smart. They all funneled out, but Andrew gets a good run off the corner, starts to fight back. He's trying to set himself up on the outside of this corner, but to be on the inside of going into the chicane, we'll see which one of them gives to the other driver.
I don't think he was quite close enough. Had a nose in the inside, but Dornenberg was really good on the brakes, and Mickey had to concede that position for now. So Dornenberg, Mickey, Pagula, and Bunch still remain 8th through 11th. No change for second just yet. Christian Ost is there, but has not been let in the door just yet by the 206 as we stay on this fight for 8th.
Close battle, 4 cars, and I think we're seeing Corey Bunch. He started, I think it was 15th, and he's only been up to 11th place. I'm pretty sure he's going to be disappointed with that progress. His pace throughout the rest of the season has been a lot better than what he's shown here tonight, but we'll see what he can do. He's still got just over 7 minutes to potentially gain these next 2 positions as well.
Here comes Benjamin Pagula up the inside of Mickey. Mickey chucks it down into turn number 1, keeps the number 7 behind him. Corey Bunch now seeing that weakness is going to dive up the inside for turn 2 and actually clear Pagula. It was an aggressive move, made it stick, and got it done. Now for second, Christian Ost within 0.2 of a second, about a half a car length away from Mo Islam, but he's not getting the run out of that first chicane. That's the Klein chicane there. He's not getting a good enough run there to challenge Mo down into the Villanova chicane, which is the one we're entering now.
Yeah, this is just really difficult to make a pass and to set up a run if you're not beating the car ahead of you off the corners here. And it looks like Ost has just not been able to get the better of Mo Islam there.
Andrew Mickey still dropping positions just ever so slightly down to 9th place again. Andrew Mickey, again, starting in 8th. He's really only dropped 1 spot, but I feel like he was a little higher up than this a little while ago, so we'll drop back down to 9th position. Drew Lidke and Nicholas Morelli, this is a fight for 6th happening a little while up the road, right behind Brian Chabelski, a pair of teammates right in front of Nicholas Morelli. I'm sure he'd like to be the meat of the sandwich here.
Yeah, Morelli is looking to gain another couple positions. He was able to get by that previous group earlier in the race. Here he is trying to make up some more ground. He has won 2 Pro-Am race number 2s this season. He's won the last 2. He won at Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago, and he won race 2 last week as well. So he's definitely showing some pretty good pace here in this Ferrari for this season.
Second place still, Christian Ost is close. Let's watch him again as they head through the chicane. You see how all the ground that he loses over the course of the lap is just in that one chicane. So maybe for Christian Ost, the good idea here would be to back up the corner and try to straight line it a little bit more, and maybe start accelerating before you're in the chicane, kind of squeeze out of it. I think that's the best way to take it, is Ost slams over the curbing on driver's right, and now continues to lose through this back half of the racetrack. I think Islam's got a little bit more finesse through the tight and twisties here.
Yeah, that's been where Islam's been able to be the better, and that's where you have to be good at this track in order to maintain position and even make positions up. If you're good through the chicanes and the middle part of the track to the last half of the track, that's where you're going to find most success.
Cross line now, 4.5 minutes to go. Should be about 4 laps left this time through. And we'll jump back to Drew Lidke and Nicholas Morelli. 0.2 of a second there. Morelli's going to pop out to driver's left. He's going to chase him all the way down to the concrete towards turn number 1. Morelli backs out. Lidke crowding him over, and that's going to cost Morelli a ton of time. But you can go defensive, Eric, and that's what he did.
Yeah, we did have some issues with blocking last week, and we'll see if this is something that gets brought to the attention of the admins this week. Is you could argue potentially that was a bit of a block, or at least putting him in a really bad position as he makes his intent known that he's going to try to go up the inside, and then Lidke pulls over even more. It looks like
it was just the slightest left movement. It was so, I mean, it was so subtle, but he only had to move over a couple inches to make that very awkward. But either way, and that'd be a tough rule. Meanwhile, Pegula and Bunch going at it. That's for 10th through the first of the two chicanes. The Klein chicane now side by side down the hill towards Villeneuve.
Bunch is going to try to stick it up there on the inside. Pegula going to give way.
That's a great pass by Corey Bunch. Gets it done. Pegula's going to hang tight, about a half a car length back, try to get the position once more. I'm not sure that he's got the pace to do that right now. Meanwhile, Anthony Montello trying to recover from a disastrous start to the night. Runs 13th right now, about a half a second behind Darren Heath's number 45.
Yeah, I think these drivers both would have preferred to be, would have thought that they would have been up further in the field, but here we are, them battling here, back here for the 12th position. Nothing on the line here in terms of an invert later on. Pro-Am race 1 will have an inverted field. Race 2 will be top 18 inverted from race 1. So things should get really interesting later on.
Brian Chabelski's looped it in the number 12, was running up inside the top 10. Now it's some dramas for him. Go back and see what had happened. It was all by himself entering turn number 1. I wonder. Just gets in a little hot. That's a rare mistake for Chabelski to make all on his own. As you see teammate Drew Lidke and Nicholas Morelli drive on by. Meanwhile, that battle continues, and Morelli's patience, I'd imagine, will run out eventually. We saw in the background of that replay that Lidke had gone defensive all the way to the concrete again, so Morelli's patience will probably run out here. Lidke makes that move while legal. It's certainly infuriating to be behind.
Yeah, but these drivers know exactly what they have to do. They know within the rules. They both raced here long enough to know exactly what is and isn't acceptable, and they're just racing hard for a position. I think they both are totally fine with that. But in order to make a pass, you're going to have to do a lot better than Morelli's been able to do so far. So he's just got over a minute and a half to see if he can get something done on Lidke to get a top 5 finishing position.
Up the road, Lidke again and Morelli, they're 0.3 apart. Change for second has not happened like we thought it would. However, Mo Islam last time through ran 0.2 better than Ryan Plord. He's going to have to do better than that to catch the 74, but he has eaten into that lead about a half a second since we last checked in. So Islam right now is the faster car of the front two. I think he's just going to run out of time and effort and energy.
Yeah, I thought this might have been the last lap, but it looks like maybe they got to the line before.
This should actually be the last lap. I think maybe it's going to be tight. I'm not really sure where we're going to be. We'll have to see. Again, it is when it's close like this, it is possible for our timing software to estimate incorrectly. But I'm sure it will update here. It's going to be a pretty tight one. Meanwhile, Plord leads by 0.8 seconds. Mo Islam closing on the brakes. He's so good through this middle sector. 0.8 seconds, about 6 car lengths.
As you can see, there's a lot of curving you can use to take advantage of, and in order to make up as much time as possible, you have to know exactly that limit and what you can get away with to be able to get the most out of the car and most out of your lap time here. As we go through this, feels like a 90, like almost like a 180-degree corner, but it really isn't. Opens up pretty easily on the other side and sets you up nicely to come into this final chicane, and we'll see. Not sure again if they're going to get the white flag or the checkered flag is going to be out for Ryan Plord to take a win in the AM Cup feature here at Zolder.
It was really close. I still have 8 seconds remaining as they cross the line. But again, that could have been because I restarted the software earlier. So Ryan Plord wins the AM race for the evening. Mo Islam second, Christian O's third, Brian Sohn brings home a top 5. Drew Lidke does beat Nicholas Morelli to the stripe. Then Dominic Dornenberg, that's tight. That's for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Dornenberg, Mickey Bunch, all separated by only a couple 10ths of a second. Then Benjamin Pegula, 10th place. Anthony Montello rebounds for 11th. Gets by Darren Heath. Brian Chabelski, that costly mistake a few laps ago in turn number 1 relegates him to 13th place. Then Steve Bunting and Murphy Nichols. I think he knew coming into the night this would be a struggle. That has been the case so far. We'll see how he does in the Pro-Am race here in just a few moments. Here is a look at our race results here, Aaron.
You can see Plord with a dominant win from the pole position. Islam with a strong second place run. Ost with a third. Brian Sohn with a 4th place, probably his best run since he's come back to the series, and Lidke rounding out the top 5.
Looking down the rest of the order here, we see Anthony Montello again with his issues that he had buried in 11th, and Murphy Nichols hoping that the Pro-Am races go a little bit smoother for him. And to answer some questions, yes, this is not necessarily a heat race. We've got heat racing, kinda. It's not really heat racing in the traditional sense, but we are racing in the heat format for our Pro-Am races. We'll be running a Pro-Am race and then kind of inverting the top 18 and going again. So 2 more 15-minute races coming up here on the schedule in just a few minutes. We'll be right back from SimTV.
A glen is defined as a narrow valley. For decades, a small town at the south end of Seneca Lake in New York State sat quietly next to a spectacular geological formation, giving the town the name Watkins Glen. Quiet this town stays, except for a few weekends a year. A few miles up the road, there's a racetrack with international fame. It's hosted Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, IMSA, Grand Am, and SCCA races. And this track bears the same name as the town, which hosted street races decades before. Watkins Glen International is one of the great American road courses, built in a time when pavement was just laid on top of the land. It follows the natural flow, climbing steep inclines, dropping down into valleys, and streaking across the Finger Lakes region countryside. It's changed a bit since its construction in the 1950s, with the relocation of the start line and pit road and the addition of 2 new sections, the Boot in 1971 and the Inner Loop in 1992. Since then, it's become an American motorsports icon. Known for its high speeds and narrow S's, it was referred to as the super speedway of road courses by many drivers. Its sky blue Armco walls have become a symbol of this place. Over the years, Watkins Glen has seen safety improvements, including asphalt runoff in several corners, relocating some walls and adding curbing. In the 2015 off-season, it was repaved, making it smoother and even faster. But like the valley for which it is named, it remains a challenge for every driver who pulls out on course. For the people who cherish these hallowed grounds, it's not just a Glen, it's the Glen. Watkins Glen.
In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defying feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, oak tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although oak tree no longer stands, nor does Hog Pen, turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist, and the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
Welcome back live to Sim TV and SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Round number 5. We're just about ready to get started for qualifying for our Pro-Am races for the evening. 2 of those up on deck. Also on deck, an announcement that Eric Mickey has for some new racing action that's going to be happening. Eric, take it away. What you got?
Yeah, so not exactly completely new to the Sim TV family, but we here at SCRS would like to announce that starting in January, when we get rolling on our 2021 Season 1 for our Thursday series, we are adding Wednesdays to our schedule with the VMAX IndyCar Series presented by SCRS. VMAX, if you're wondering, they're a group formed from the Fuel Racing League, and SimTV covers their Tuesday night stock car series. They have an IndyCar championship that they have decided to call the end of that championship under the Fuel banner at the end of their current season. And a bunch of drivers and admins from that series have decided that they would like to keep it going. They want to continue that IndyCar championship and the legacy that it has. So they reached out. This all happened very quick. Reached out a week ago. We've been talking about it ever since. And we're partnering with VMAX and SCRS to bring you an IndyCar championship. Details will be coming out as we continue to put things together, finding broadcast partners and the like. But we're very excited to announce that SCRS is going to be able to present an IndyCar championship under our banner in the future. And we're very much looking forward to it. It's been a goal of ours since we started. We've had an attempt before that just didn't work out for different reasons. And this is going to be an exciting venture for both SCRS and the VMAX group to come together and hopefully launch another successful long-running championship. So if you're interested in watching or participating in our IndyCar championship, that'll be beginning in January. Follow SCRS and reach out to us on Discord in any way you can. My name is Eric Mickey. You can PM me on iRacing or on Discord, and we'll be able to get information to you if you're interested in learning more about that series. We are also looking for any potential sponsorships to help that series along as well. So if you're interested in that aspect of it, once again, just reach out any way you can. You can find me on Discord or on iRacing, and should be exciting as we look forward to going open wheel action to the SCRS League.
Yeah, I remember the original SCRS IndyCar Championship. That was a long time ago, actually. That was way back when I think I still had manual flags and everything. That was way back in 2018. I think there's 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of those way buried deep in the SimTV archives if you scroll back far enough. So glad to see that that's coming together, and I know that we had a conversation earlier about potentially broadcasting. 2021 schedule gets really, I was just talking with Eric before this, how challenging the 2021 schedule is for me, working with Grid Life and with World Challenge on announcing and producing real-world streaming events. So lots of traveling next year, and so that kind of limits things I can do. However, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are generally not terrible days for me because traveling is generally Thursday through Sunday. So lots to discuss, lots of options and opportunities, but nothing really set in stone yet, so can't make that commitment just yet. But I think I feel pretty confident that you guys will probably have it broadcasted somewhere, whether it's with SimTV or who does the broadcast right now? It's what's their name?
I'm unaware
what are they, hold on.
of their name.
They're good guys. Hold on, I have to help them out. It's the Flat Out Racing Network.
There you go.
Those guys. Yeah, they do a pretty good job. So hopefully if we can't do it, they can do it. Qualifying now underway for our Pro-Am races. Cars rolling now. James Walker in the 97. Past winner in this series. Wouldn't put it past him to get another couple tonight. Also, can we just mention how gorgeous the sunlight is here at Circuit Zolder here tonight? Golden rays casting from the sky down on this beautiful racetrack. And Walker and a handful of others about ready to roll. I think we've got over 20 again. The field sizes have been super strong this season, and it will continue tonight. I think 28 maybe is what I'm seeing here as we get
cars. 29 cars on my timing and scoring screen right now. that we're looking at, which is the lowest that we've had all season to this point, which I only take as a win. That our lowest is 29, and I think that's probably the perfect amount of cars for a track of this size, of this caliber. Looking forward to tonight's races, but I just need to point out we did have the camera on for a second. James Walker, he has not been here the last 2 weeks. This is his first week back since Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, so we're going to see if he's maybe lost a step in the last couple of weeks, or if he comes back charging hard like he's used to doing and taking away wins from everybody else.
We'll see if that's the case. You'll notice on James Walker's car the red windshield banner and red wing end plates. And also on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that his name and his number are corresponded to with the red number board. Now that means that he is a pro category driver. The drivers with the yellow end plates, windshield banners, and number boards are the AM category drivers. So Walker heads through turn number 1. Let's run on board here for just a little bit. I want to get an idea of what we're seeing sector times wise for a guy like Walker. Out of turn number 1, sweeping through turn number 2, and heading into 3. Using all the racetrack here on the brakes just to dab down to the apex. And sector 1 as he comes across the line here should be about 30 seconds. And sector line 32.5 for James Walker. Into the braking zone, a little bit deep. Big jump over the right side curb there, and now he'll head up to finish sector 2.
Yeah, that first set of curbing, it's about which one do you want to hit hard and which one is going to give you the better launch off the corner. Right here, it's about cutting as much as you can without getting on those steep curves on the inside that can really mess up your line and mess up the front fenders of your car. That last little right-hander is flat out if you get the previous corners right. And this one is very quick, almost hairpin. It looks like a hairpin when you get it enter the corner, but it really isn't. As you exit, it widens out. Quick little chicane there without any lift or anything there. And then we get down to this hard braking zone. Great passing area on this track for this final chicane before coming back around to the start-finish line.
The James Walker will complete his first qualifying lap. I think you have up to 4 here. Across the line, 128.813. Pretty solid time. Zach Buchanan is back here this week. The Project 2 cars have had a lot of success this season. And they have a handful of drivers in the field. Buchanan is one of them. Kyle Lamb, another. He is from down under, I believe. Sean Unterkuffler is in the number 9, is also running one of my favorite Project 2 liveries, the bright yellow one. And I think if we look down the field, Mitch Welker should also be here. I have not yet seen him on the timing screen. He is here. Here he is in the 77.
Yes, Welker is here, and we should mention that there are 2 different Project 2 teams out there. We've got Project 2 Blueprint Racing, which is made up of Mitch Welker in the 77 and Zach Buchanan in the number 40. Kyle Lamb and Sean Unterkuffler are in the 42 and number 9 respectively, and they're both part of Project 2 Sketch Racing. They've added a 3rd driver, but I don't believe that driver is here. Sarah Tessam is supposed to be making her debut here. At least I think Sarah is a woman's name.
Yes, Sarah.
Sorry if I'm getting that wrong.
Sarah was a driver in the Rodenza Sports Car Challenge last season in TCR. Had some moderate success, so hope to see Sarah here as we sweep on through. Yeah, I know it sounds weird to say that, Eric, but at the same time, iRacing is unfortunately a fairly male-dominated series, so it's always nice to see a woman pop in every now and then and show the guys up. So I'm excited to see Sarah here. Kirk Crum also on the racetrack in the Bombshell Racing Team car, the black nose on this machine. And he'll probably be battling Walker for that championship as he heads down through the final chicane and strings back up onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, if he's going to have battle for that championship, he's going to have a much better week than he had last week. He was not at all competitive at Brands Hatch, and I never really got a chance to talk to him about why, because we've been focusing on some other ventures for the Bombshell Racing Team. But he did not have a great week last week, and I'm sure this track is something he's looking forward to coming to. Me and him have raced here a bunch, not necessarily in GT3 cars, but we did a bunch of races in some other cars here, and it was always a track that we both love to run at. And so I expect him to have a better result this week, but I think he is too, and he's going to be disappointed if he's not able to come through with that.
Sean Foes in the number 10. We saw him in the AM race earlier. He's on track getting a qualifying effort in. Buchanan and Welker still have not recorded lap times. That's maybe concerning. We'll We'll see if they can get one logged before the end of the 10-minute qualifying period. James Walker still the fastest. Kyle Lamb jumps up to second with a 1:29.119. That puts him about 7/10 of a second back from Walker. So James really has it fired up tonight. You were asking earlier if he can get right back into it. It's like riding a bike for the 97, straight to the top of the board and staying there confidently for now.
Yeah, he has definitely shown no rust as we have Buchanan put a lap up, but still half a second behind Walker's time. Buchanan goes to second with Kyle Lamb behind him in third, Chris Hudson fourth, and Jake Johansson in fifth as of right now. And there's just about 3.5 minutes left in this session, and most of these drivers are on lap 3 or 4 of their four laps that they have to get in before this 10 minutes runs out.
Carter Kundinger across the line now, a 1:28.712. That's better than Buchanan. That will lock him into second, and down by 2.5 tenths off of James Walker. So that's a really solid lap time there. He'll get at least one more opportunity to improve. Mo Islam, who was in the AM race earlier, look how high he is. He's bisecting the top 10 in Pro, in an AM car. Currently the highest of the yellow boards here tonight.
Once again, showing the pace he had in that AM Cup feature race. He's actually better than Ford, who dominated that first race. And I'm just looking now, it looks like Ryan Ford has only been able to do 17th in this session. Not what I think we were looking for from the AM Cup feature winner, but I think it's a little bit interesting when you go back to Watkins Glen a couple weeks ago, how we saw it took a while before the top 10 was populated mostly by the pro drivers, but this week it looks like the top 10 right from the start of this qualifying session has been mostly populated by the pro drivers, with as we mentioned, that one driver of Islam being an AM driver sitting there in 5th place. Wonder if that's just a coincidence or if that's just a difference in the track difficulty between a track like Watkins Glen and here at Zolder.
Bryce Colusa in the number 5 car is rolling around the racetrack right now, trying to get a lap time in before the end of the qualifying session. He should get at least one. And he comes across the line. I wonder if this is a timed lap or if this is a warm-up. It's definitely a warm-up lap, 8-minute, 5-second run. And he'll go again and try to log a lap before the end of the session. Again, he has been upgraded to the pro category. He started the series as an AM, but showed very quickly that he's got the capability of running in pro, so that is where he is logged. Jake Johansson is done qualifying. 8th place for him. Mitch Welker jumps to 10th. And Drew Lidke only 15th best. Harry Grindell in the number 70 still on the racetrack. This livery, it reminds me a lot of, well, it's not the idea, but it reminds me a lot of Eric Cattill's number 82 GLTC car, kind of the factory Honda livery on that Ferrari here tonight. No, that's not what he's going for, but that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I get the resemblance there. It's, but I think that British flag on the top maybe makes the difference.
Yeah, I think so. Eric Cattill definitely does not have that. Minute left in qualifying. James Walker, I think, is working through the final chicane one more time. And I think this is the last attempt that he will get. He has improved his time, his previous best of 1:28.332, and he will not improve that lap. Carter Kundinger also finishing up another lap attempt. We'll see if he can eat into that lead just a bit more. Difference between the top two right now, 0.4 of a second.
See Kundinger coming through the final chicane. This could be his final lap in this qualifying session. There's not much time left, less than 30 seconds before the session is ending, and unlike some other sessions out there, just the way that iRacing sets these up, once this 20 seconds, now almost 15 seconds runs out, the session is cut off entirely. No one gets to finish their lap, so you have to have your best lap in before the session reaches 0.
No improvement for Kundinger. He will stay at a 1:28.712. Kyle Lamb 3rd, Kurt Crum 4th. Mitch Welker does improve to 5th. Zach Buchanan 6th. Mo Islam, Chris Hudson, Jake Johansson, and Sean Untercuff. Their qualifying complete. We'll head down to the racetrack. 15 minutes for 2 Pro-Am races. We will invert our top 18, and that is how they will grid for our second race of the evening in Pro-Am. Again, if you're just joining us here on SimTV, SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round number 5 from Circuit Zolder. Our AM race is complete now. Just 2 races to finish out the rest of the night. And in a moment, we'll go over our starting lineup, but we'll have another look at the weather information. Once again, a really cool, dry evening. Plenty of speed and plenty of grip for these drivers to work their way around this course.
Yeah, we are heading towards sundown here at Zolder. Racing will be completed by the time it gets too dark, so that's not going to be an issue, but definitely going to get cooler and cooler and darker as we go.
So, weather information taken care of. We'll head down to the racetrack. Let's run through our starting lineup here on the front row. It's going to be James Walker, the number 97, and Carter Kundinger, a couple tenths off, but he will start second in the 02 car.
Third place is going to be Kyle Lamb, and then Kurt Crum starting fourth. Much better start to the week than he had last week.
Row number 3, Mitch Welker in the number 77, and Zach Buchanan rolls off 6th in the number 40 Project 2 car.
7th place, we'll have Mo Islam, our first AM competitor on the grid, and Chris Hudson rolling off from 8th.
9th place, Jake Johansson in the number 06. Sean Unterkuffler, another Project 2 driver, starts 10th in the number 9.
11th place, we'll see Nicholas Morelli. He's got 2 Pro-Am wins this season. And 12th place is Isaac Snyder, looking to better his season.
Ryan Plord starts 13th in AM alongside Brian Chabelski in the number 12.
15th place, we'll see Drew Lidke, and 16th, Corey Bunch.
17th place, Christian Ost in the number 157. Brian Sohn starts 18th in the 03 car.
Starting 19th will be Colin Boehner, and 20th, Harry Grindell, both pro competitors here tonight.
Starting in 21st, Dominic Dornenberg in the number 913. Andrew Mickey in the Bombshell Racing Team number 86 starts 22nd.
23rd, we'll see Anthony Montello, and 24th, Steve Bunting.
25th place, Sean Foes in the number 10 car, and Darren Heath starts 26th in the number 45.
Bryce Colusa will start from 27th, not the start he was looking for. Murphy Nichols, long run ahead of him tonight, coming from 28th, and 29th, Eric Brown will round out your field. As I just mentioned, Nichols is in need of a really clean night in order to get underneath the threshold for the IPR score that dictates whether or not you can get advantage from the invert for race 2. So he definitely needs to make sure that he has 2 good clean races tonight where he does not get too many incidents, and so he can have the rest of the season being able to take advantage of that invert if he's able to finish in the top 18.
Cars working through the last couple chicanes here at Zolder. Again, 15 minutes on the board. If you're watching on the East Coast, it's just about 9:30 and will be complete by about 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Central, as we head through the last couple of corners here. James Walker, Carter Kundinger, Kyle Lamb, Kurt Crum, Mitch Welker, Buchanan, Islam, Hudson, Johansson, and Unterkuffler, the top 10. Cars Ferrari Challenge round number 5 next week takes us to Mount Panorama in Bathurst, Australia. That'll be a challenge. We've seen them race there before. It's always been a good show. But driving the racetrack is almost as hard as racing your very tough competitors. A bunch of pro drivers on the front couple rows as we sweep through the final chicane here at Circuit Zolder. Up front, Walker, Kundinger sharing that front row. Green flag flies, and we're racing for 15 minutes from Zolder. Walker, Kundinger, Lamb, and Crum run down to turn number 1. Crum's already cycled into third behind. It looks like Kyle Lamb's gotten hit. He's going to slide right across his teammate in turn number 1. He's in the gravel.
Yeah, it was a hit from Buchanan, his teammate. That's going to be, and I believe I see, is that Welker around also?
It is Welker.
This was not a good opening corner for the Project 2 team. Your Redenzo Pole Award winner, James Walker, has been able to hold out to the lead, but did not get as good a start as Ryan Plord did in the AM Cup, and Carter Kundinger is very close and right behind him. Right now, you're definitely going to get a little bit of help from that draft to stay close, and that's what Carter's going to need to do in order to have a shot at Walker, as he's followed closely by Kurt Crum in third.
Jake Johansson up the inside. That's for 10th place. Nicholas Morelli will squeeze on through. Here comes Ryan Plord with a head of steam now to driver's right. Dominic Dornenberg has had an issue in behind. He spun around in the first chicane. Meanwhile, for the race lead, Carter Kundinger's through to the moment. And here comes Walker back around the outside, side by side for the race lead. Crum watching from third.
Be interesting to go back and take a look at that if we get a shot. I wonder if Kundinger just took an opportunity and drove in real hard. That's kind of what it looked like when we cut to it, but wasn't able to make the pass stick. And Walker's able to regain the lead and hold it and start to potentially drive away.
And just got in there, I think, a little bit too hot. Here's one more look at it as they came up over the crest and charges into the corner. Maybe, was there a touch on entry? I don't think so. I think Kundinger just got a better run down the inside and almost had it, but Walker retains.
That was very close to him almost having had that. And I believe that Walker still would have an opportunity to come back, but we've seen it's difficult to get a run on somebody to be able to make a pass around this track. So that pass could have been the thing that got it done for Kundinger, but he wasn't able to hold it off and make it stick. Montello's final corner now. Buchanan's around. Looks like in turn 2.
The worst night that Project 2 has had in a while. Buchanan now looped around. He just got loose up on the exit at turn number 1 and just kind of walked the car back and forth. Couldn't hang on to it. Backed it around and is now back rolling in 24th. That is such a frustrating night. Now they're going to be battling for the invert. Morelli and Snyder side by side. Now Snyder on the inside in that 333. And Morelli behind. Here comes Ryan Cord up driver's right.
Ford looking to make his way through from not the greatest starting position when you come off of an AM Cup win, but he looks like he's going to go in real hard side by side with Morelli. Now Plord has to go off track to avoid any contact. He's going to lose positions here. There's probably going to be a slowdown. Being so early in the race is probably going to be a difficult one to get to give up and not lose even more positions and more ground.
A pair of teammates behind him, Drew Lidke and Brian Chbelski. Lidke goes up the inside, or at least tries to. Door slams shut. I think you're right. He's got to have a slowdown, but he hasn't really given up a whole lot of time, so maybe he didn't get a big one. He's been able to clear it. Christian Ost now under attack from Colin Daner in the number 78. And this is the Calvert Dynamics car.
So he's got the pass done before they get to the braking zone. He's able to get through there. Now he's going to have a run on, I believe, is that Lidke or Zabelski? Oh, that's Zabelski right ahead of him. But here comes Ost coming back on the inside of Daner going into turn 1. Can Daner hold on around the outside?
He's going to carry the speed all the way out to the curbing. And now he'll have the inside for turn 2. With this corner, you carry momentum all the way out to the left. I don't think he'll be able to do that, so Chbelski will hang on. Now Christian Ost is going to carry his momentum out to the left and maybe cross over at the exit. Good run there for Ost, but I think Daner has it for now.
Just trying to set him up to come back on and down this next straightaway. Daner gets a little bit of the dirt that's going to slow him up a little bit. Ost might have the pass complete before they get to the braking zone, but is Daner going to come back under braking? No. Ost is able to hold on to the position.
That was a wild jump over the curb.
Car into space with that one.
Yeah, he got airborne big time. That slammed down the suspension. Look at this. Oh, there's Steve Bunting getting hit from behind from Kyle Lamb. Sandwiched in between Eric Brown in front. This is for 20th.
Yeah, this is these Project 2 cars that all had problems early on in the race, the first lap or two, all trying to rebound. Be interesting to see what they have to say about that opening lap. These drivers are usually not too hesitant to call out some moves from other drivers, but at this point, you know, this has just been a bad race for them. There's really not much to be mad about outside of their own cars, so definitely not what they're looking for. But they've still got an opportunity to get into those transfer positions to start up front for race 2, and that's got to be their goal right now.
Murphy Nichols and the number 83 of Steve Bunting, they went down to the Villanova Chicane, turned their cars, and they just skidded off straight. It's almost like there was oil on the racetrack. They just could not get the car to turn in. You saw the tires turn, and then they just skidded on the sidewall. They would not rotate in. Meanwhile, here's Sohn, Mickey, and Colusa all in battle for 15th place.
Must be those GT3 physics that everyone talks about iRacing being so much better than the Federal Corsa with.
Eric Brown this time with Sean Foes in turn number 1. I think there might have been a touch here. Maybe Foes gets loose in front. Yeah, Foes gets loose, and Brown cannot avoid him, and they get tangled together at the exit of 1. For the top spot, James Walker and Carter Kundinger, 0.3 of a second separate them. Kundinger's kept Walker honest here. Eric, do you think he's got the pace to get by him? It's going to be a challenge with 9 minutes to go.
Well, the lead has jumped between 0.3 and 0.5 this entire time. So it's impressive, I think, that Kundinger's been able to stay this close. I think he's going to need a little bit more if he's ever going to make a pass or even have an opportunity to make a pass on Walker. We have seen Walker make mistakes, few and far between though. So it's not over at all for Kundinger, but he's got to be basically perfect from here on out and really put the pressure on Walker to get things right in order to have a chance.
Bryce Colusa dropped a couple spots now. He's sandwiched between Mickey and Welker right now, as Welker trying to recover from his first lap spin. Doing a fairly decent job of that. Back up to the front though, 0.4 of a second. This is the battle to watch as Carter Kundinger tries to run down the number 97.
It's a really important corner when you're looking at trying to make up time. You need to try to get through there better than the car ahead. Take advantage of the high speed here and any draft you can get. It looks like Andrew Mickey's been around in turn 1.
Yeah,
it's probably going to be a matter of just getting up on the curbing the wrong way.
There's a look at it from up above. He was following Ryan Sohn in the 0-3 on the entry to the corner. Turns in late, and when you do that, the car just slow, lazy spin. Had some help from Colusa and Mitch Welker. The bad luck just continues for those drivers. Up the road, Kyle Lamb, Colin Daner. As Daner's slow, I think he had to slow down to give up some time. He lets Buchanan on through as he goes up and over the top of the curbing.
Buchanan right now sits that'll be 17th position. He just took away from Colin Daner. Kyle Lamb is in 16th, and Mitch Welker is in 15th. Those are good positions for as far in terms of the invert for the start of race 2. Welker, we just saw have probably a pretty decent amount of damage to his front end, so he's going to be desperate to hang on to at least the 15th position, or at least hang on to the top 18 so that he can get a start up front for race 2. As we see, Morelli looks like he's going to try to run down Isaac Snyder for 7th place.
Battle's been going on for a little while. Snyder loose at the exit of the corner. Morelli's going to close on the run down to turn number 2. But Snyder's been mighty fast this season. He's been pro status for quite some time, and now with that 0.95 chasing him, I think he feels pretty good about his stature here in this race. But don't get too comfortable running where you are here, Eric, because that 0.95 has not been slow tonight by any stretch.
Absolutely not. And if you are wondering what the stupid melon message on the back of Snyder's car was, put it there specifically in case we got that camera shot on him tonight. That's what he calls those inner curbing that can really upset the car and damage the cars. He calls those the melon curbs, and that's his message to them from what he's been able to do in practice so far coming into tonight. So yeah, he's definitely looking to have a strong run here and finish in the top 10, but he didn't seem all that enthusiastic about his chances from his practice sessions earlier in the week.
James Walker leading by half a second. Kundinger is not very far behind. He can just get a little bit of luck. He'll be in a pretty good spot. Christian Ost is currently in the pits, a lap down. Didn't see exactly what happened to him, but that's where he is right now. Coming across the line, 5 minutes and 56 seconds to go. 5 laps to go is about what that means. Big jump over the curb for turn 1 for Kundinger, trying to keep that 97 in sight.
Yeah, and you know, some tracks we go to, just the nature of the way that the track works, all you have to do is be as good as the guy ahead in order to have a shot. Tonight, I think what you're seeing here is Zolder's not one of those tracks. Zolder, if you're going to have a shot at the guy ahead, you have to be better than them. And being just as good as Walker is difficult enough. So to try to be better than him is going to be just take all that much more effort from Kundinger. But if he's shown any opportunity that he's got that within him, it's been tonight so far in this race with just over 5 minutes left. He still has not let that lead get over a second even once so far. So he definitely still has a shot, but he's got to figure out what to do differently in order to gain those extra couple tenths he needs.
Ryan Plord, the AM race winner, has found his way turned around. Let's see exactly how he got himself in that position. Okay, oh wow, there you go. Big launch over the curbing. Have another look at that. That's a big moment. And this is why you got to stay off. You can really get up on 2 tires, but if you hit it with the floor, as you're going to see right here, he misses it, then hits the sausages with the floor, jumps that car up in the air, and goes around for a loop in 15th spot. So an unfortunate circumstance for him, but he'll get back rolling with at least minimal aero damage, but that floor damage area can sometimes be even worse.
Yeah, that first chicane can be defined as risk versus reward. There's a lot of reward to be found if you can get through it go as quickly as he tried to, but if you get it wrong, if you miss it just a little bit, the risk is so much greater.
Coming to 3 laps to go next time by 4 minutes left. Walker and Kundinger separated by half a second. The front 2 nose to tail, and actually coming into the night, the points are actually led by Zach Buchanan in pro with 110 points. Kundinger is second because of the rounds that James Walker has missed. He's actually only has 77 points. So coming into the night, I think Kundinger's in a pretty good spot, but I think he also would like to finish ahead of the 97 just to keep that championship fight solidly in his hands.
Yeah, what we do have here in SCRS is we will have drop weeks, 2 drop weeks out of the 9. That will go into effect in a matter of just a couple of weeks. Potentially after the next round is when they'll go into effect. And right now, James Walker's not going to be dropping anything points-wise from the last 2 weeks where he's had absolute zeros from just not being able to attend. And other than that, though, he has 2 wins. The only other driver to be able to do that is Nicholas Morelli the last 2 weeks in the second race of these Pro-Am races. So James Walker's sitting pretty, especially if he's able to pull off this win here tonight, to really take advantage of those 2 drop weeks once they go into effect. That's why it was so important that Buchanan did not have the kind of race that he had here tonight so far. In Kundinger, it's very important that he's able to...
Snyder sideways in turn number 1. He tags the 095 of Morelli and the 333 inside the top 10. That's big damage to the left front of that car after he had a moment and just couldn't hang on to it. Back and have a look as he came down into the first corner. The car was already unsettled. Gets down here, Eric, and just watch the car step out.
Yeah, this was not what Morelli wanted in terms of getting involved, but it's what he was trying to do. But it looks like now he's gone around at the exit of turn 3. Probably, my guess is ran a little bit wide, got on the dirt and the grass, and then sent him into the wall. That's exactly what happened.
A big hit there on the tire barrier as well, which made that even worse. So meanwhile, up at the front of the field, with coming to what should be 2 laps to go, Walker and Kundinger now separated by only 0.3 of a second. Kundinger is so close, and there is some lap traffic in front of them. I don't think it'll be a factor, but every time I say that, it is a factor. So coming down to the last minute and 37 seconds of this race, this should be 2 to go, but it might be 1 if the traffic impedes the progress here.
Yeah, Kundinger tried really hard there, and he missed the first apex on that final chicane, and that really cost him on the exit. So I think that's just really what's beating him, is that he's having to try so hard to keep pace that he's just missing things a little bit here and there, and that's just not going to get it done when you're racing someone as solid as James Walker.
On the brakes into turn number 3, tuck it in. Carry some speed, kind of nip the curbing to help rotate the car. Loses some time here in this first sector. I wonder if he gains it back in the middle and back sectors where the tricky chicanes are. Look at how he closes on the brakes. Oh, missed the turn in just a touch. Maintains a 0.6 gap with 49 seconds left in this race.
Yeah, once again, the laps to go is absolutely not correct. We have under a minute left. This could be the final lap. But by my timing and scoring, this will be the final lap.
Yeah, trust that. Again, when it's close like this, the third-party software can often make this incorrect. So we should be expecting checkered flag this time by, but there's always the potential. If the white flag is flown in the sim, it is flown officially. Now the run down to the front straightaway again here. And James Walker comes on through, sweeps through the final corner. Is it checkered this time, or will we go one more? It's going to be tight at the line. And I think we get one more lap. Looks like we will. Final lap out. White flag. That was very, very tight. Kundinger now chasing with 0.2 gap. So close, Eric, but it's going to be hard to make that move.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to make up that time. And it's going to be very tempting coming up on this next turn 3 when they get out of here. Kundinger is going to carry as much speed as he possibly can to try to do what he can to get close enough. It's going to be very tempting for him to overstep and drive the hardest he's ever driven through this next chicane, because there is a lot of time to be found if you can pull it off.
Jump over the curbing. Kundinger's close. He's within a car length and a half now. Final half a lap here from Circuit Zolder in the first of 2 Pro-Am races tonight. In SCRS Ferrari Challenge round number 5. Closes even further still in the Villanova Chicane. Cuts it in tight. Walker gets a pretty good run off, but Kundinger keeps it close. I don't think he's quite within distance, but if he can close up on the next hairpin, he might have a shot.
Yeah, and I think you got to remember, if you've seen Walker race, you know that he's never been one to worry about trading some paint. So when you have that go flag to be able to do that to him, you got to take advantage of it. But I don't think he's going to be close enough to do anything with him going into this final chicane.
Final chicane for James Walker. Off away for 2 weeks. He will sweep on through, checkered flag waving, and James Walker, like riding a bike, will return to normal. He'll get a victory here tonight at Zolder. Kundinger second, Kurt Crum a quiet third place tonight. Chris Hudson sneaks his way into 4th, and our first AM driver, Mo Islam, finishes 5th. And Unterkoffler, Johansson, Lidke, Shabelski, and Sohn will be the final drivers inside the top 10. And Mitch Welker battles back for an 11th place finish. After starting in 5th, having a spin on the opening lap, that car destroyed. He will finish 11th, and Bryce Colusa, Ryan Plourd, Zach Buchanan, Colin Daner, Kyle Lamb, Anthony Montello, and the driver that should end up, Kyle Lamb in the final corner. He's hitting pit lane. So that's going to change who the invert driver is as we come across the line here. Right now,
I guess that was a late penalty called for incidents.
The official 18th place finisher is Kyle Lamb. I'm not really sure how that stacks up here, but I guess it's automatic, so he will end up being your pole sitter for the final race of the night.
I've got on timing and scoring Steve Bunting as 18th place.
Okay,
Kyle
maybe.
Lamb is dropped down to 19th. That might be the penalty taking effect. He did cross into 11 incident points, and 10 is when you get a drive-through penalty. Being that it was the last lap, that's when he had to come in and try to serve it and get it out of the way. So I think that's potentially what makes that change for that final transfer position.
So will be Steve Bunting on pole for our second race of the evening in Pro-Am. And race is complete, and we'll have just a moment before we get rolling for our second race of the night. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back in just a moment for the start of our final race of the evening. Hang tight.
Would you like to have a career in racing, and if so, what would you like to do, Dale?
Well, I want to be a race car driver someday. That's, it's all I've ever known, racing.
What did you want to be when you grew up? So many people live a life of what if. Go to school, go to college, get a 9-to-5. This is how we support our dreams, with a safety net. Because we're unsure about taking a leap of faith. Because we're afraid. As we grow, we cross things off our list of dreams. We cut them down, make them realistic. Having control of things is reassuring. But for some, the rush of being out of control is what gives them life. Some say racing cars is reckless. Maybe they're right. Out of bounds isn't just cheating, it's cheating death. Football fields made up in seconds. Decisions made in instants. For the people that climb behind the wheel of these cars, they're not driving it. They become part of it. It's an extension of the body. As a child, I looked up to these people, faces hidden by helmets. The less you saw of the driver, the more believable it became that they were, in fact, just part of the machine. It's easy to forget that inside the cockpit is someone just like us, but with the mindset that fear is a motivation, not a barrier. But the reality is, race car drivers are not like us. They never cross anything off their list of dreams. They just keep writing more. Daytona.
This is the finish of the Daytona 500. Side by side.
Le Mans. Indianapolis. Monaco. Places that used to be just places, now international symbols of victory. To those that enjoy the spectacle of racing, the 2 feet of concrete and steel cables are a wall between us and them, between sitting in the grandstands and standing in victory lane. These same walls are a stark, immovable reminder that racing drivers put their lives on the line for the sake of the thrill and entertainment. Despite the risk, despite the heartbreak, despite the cost. There are some on the sidelines who are fascinated by the danger. They are fascinated by speed, fascinated by the undying desire to be just a little bit better. Their dreams erased by geography, finances, or the lack of a famous last name. There are some who once wished to be a race car driver, but aren't because they didn't get the chance. And they thought they'd spend the rest of their lives watching their heroes on television, or from the other side of the fence. They thought it was impossible to climb into a race car, so they crossed it off their list. But it's not impossible. There is a ticket to the other side of the fence. For those who want it bad enough, this is your chance.
Welcome back live to Sim TV and SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round number 5, gridding up for our final race of the evening from Circuit Zolder. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Eric Mickey this evening. Steve Bunting will cycle out to be your pole sitter for the second and final race in the Pro-Am lineup here this evening. We saw a lot of self-spins and individual mistakes in race number 1. What did we learn from that race, and how do we apply it to run better in this one?
I think what we learned is it's going to be really difficult to make passes. So I think when you look at the cars in the second half of the inverted 18 positions, that it's going to be a challenge for the likes of Walker, Kundinger, Crum, and those to make their way up to the front of the field. So I look at this as an opportunity for the guys that are starting at the front. Steve Bunting has been in this position a few times, and he's never really been able to pull anything off that has set the world on fire. So I look down to Dominic Dornenberg, Anthony Montello, Colin Daner, Zach Buchanan, Ryan Ford. There are top 6 drivers. Just the opportunity that they needed. When you look at drivers from the first race that had really bad runs, Buchanan starting 5th is the one that you have to keep your eye out for the ability to go up there, take the lead away, and rebound with a win. And you have Mitch Welker sitting in 8th place right behind him, so they both need to rebound with really good finishes if they're going to salvage any kind of points here tonight.
Looking down to the rest of the field, James Walker starts 18th. Potentially a little challenging to pass here tonight. How does James Walker negotiate that, and where do you predict he ends up finishing?
Well, I think for him, when you look at the fact that he already had 2 wins before coming into tonight, and he's now picked up race 1's win, I think what he's got to do, thinking about the championship, is just get through clean, not really worry about, even if you just focus on getting through clean and making sure your own car is clean, chances are you're going to pick up a fair amount of positions from the cars ahead racing each other, potentially making mistakes. So you're almost guaranteed to gain positions that way, let alone just what he's going to be able to gain based on pace alone. So when you have that in his favor, I think if you're Walker, all you do is take what's given to you and kind of just get through this one. When you're looking at his competitors, whether it's Buchanan starting up in 5th or Kundinger starting back down in 17th, this is when you have to try to put the pressure on, gain as many positions as you can, make it as many points up as you can, and make him start to worry, maybe you can force him to drive a little harder than he needs to and get him into trouble, and you can maybe make some gains in the championship. So I think that's basically the gameplay for those 3 drivers when you're talking about the overall championship. And those are going to be, I think, the ones that this one may come down to by the time we get to round 9. So this could be a pivotal 15 minutes of the season for those 3 drivers.
Once again, next week will be Mount Panorama at Bathurst. You're watching Sim TV. The next live stream you're going to see will be Saturday morning, 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central. That will be the Formula I F3 and F1 World Championships from Detroit Belle Isle. Then we've got, of course, Outsider Racing League that evening, with lots more coming up this week. Cars onto the front straightaway now. Bunting, Dornenberg, Montello, Colin Daner, and a whole bunch more. Green flag in the air, 15 minutes on the board as they run down to turn number 1. Ferrari V8 screaming. Turbos whistling as they head down to the first corner. Look at Daner up the inside. He thought about taking it 3 wide. Backs out, tucks in line.
Bunting, I'm not sure what his strategy on the start was, but did not take advantage.
Oh, Daner gets returned. He's off of the gravel. Daner all the way to the back of the field after starting up inside the top 5. He will drop to the tail after getting tagged. Meanwhile, for 3rd place, there's looks like that is Buchanan up the inside. He will grab that spot. Actually, that's for 2nd as they stream on through. Buchanan to 2nd, Colusa 3rd. Now Bunting down to 4th.
Big move for Buchanan being able to get up to 2nd place before even halfway through lap 1. They're 3 wide back. It's going to be a mess at the chicane.
Yeah, that was just everybody
Not
running
sure
into
what
everybody
was
there.
going on in the mind of those behind there. They were just a mess back there, unfortunately.
Oh, more
it
trouble.
Looks like it's continuing all around James Walker.
More trouble. Montello is off again. And Steve Bunting is off. This has been a chaotic first lap here. He's going to drop down even further up at the front, though. Dornenberg now has Zach Buchanan. Buchanan has had a lot of bad luck this season. I'm sure he'd like to take one, as the 913 has him all over the back. More spins and trouble behind. I think Steve Bunting's slow again through turn 7 and 8. But for the top spot, Dornenberg, Buchanan. How about Colusa running up there inside the top 3?
Yeah, I think if you're Buchanan, you just have to realize that you made a couple mistakes in race 1. You can't afford the same mistakes here in race 2. You've generally had the pace over Dornenberg, so I don't think you try too hard. You just have to make sure that you take the opportunity when it comes your way. But you do have to worry about Colusa. Colusa has shown a lot of speed. That's why he got promoted from the AM Cup to the Pro Division here. So you need to probably worry more about Colusa than you do about Dornenberg, but we'll see what Dornenberg's able to do now that he's at the front of the field for one of these Ferrari Challenge races.
Here we go. Buchanan looking to the left. He's got overlap now as they head to the Klein chicane. On the brakes now, the teal and yellow striped Ferrari up the inside, climbs the curbing. He's through. Dornenberg has to give way. Now Colusa sweeps to the right. They'll drag race to the Villanova chicane.
Colusa looking to see if he can maybe get up on the inside and kind of force Dornenberg to have to give him the spot. And it looks like Colusa is going to complete the pass.
He's got it done. Move Colusa to 2nd place now. Everyone else has mostly cycled through. Corey Bunch, Steve Bunting all the way back to 16th place after starting on pole. Could not hang on. Harry Grindell behind him with Kyle Lamb, Chris Hudson, Andrew Mickey, and a whole host of others, including Colin Daner, who got turned around on the opening lap. He is all the way back to 24th, and he'll want to charge the field. He was faster in race 1 than most of the competitors in the middle of the field, so he should have no problem getting through them once again. There's Nicholas Morelli and James Walker. In all that chaos, he received some damage, but he's up to 11th.
Yeah, looking at Walker and Cunninger, they're 11th and 12th. Walker able to be ahead of Cunninger for this race. So they've already gained in just 2 laps a ton of positions from where they started, and looking to continue to make their way up into the top 10, and we'll see how far they can make it, but definitely where Walker wants to be at this point in this race.
Harry Grindell, actually I think that's Bunting off again. It is. Harry Grindell goes through, brings Mickey and Brown with him as Bunting goes from the front all the way to the back in this one. Been a struggle for him so far. And there's Chris Hudson, big moment there as he tries to get the power down at the exit of turn number 2. And Andrew Mickey in behind him trying to find some pace. Darren Heath, he's around. Let's see what happened to him. And he just came
The
down.
intensity just raises for these Pro-Am race 2s that we get all season long, with the inverted fields and everyone trying to get the amount of points that they can get. And I think that's what you're seeing added to a little bit of what's happening here tonight. As you see now, is that was either Snyder or Kurt that was
Snyder.
just off.
Going back to have a quick look at how that all happened. He was off way before they got to the corner. Here's a look from up above. He's following the drivers in front of him. Kurt Crum was one of those other drivers. Gets on the brakes and just gets in hot and could not get the car rotated and snap back to the left.
Yeah, this is one of those weeks that Snyder's going to want to forget here at Zolder. Not the race that he wanted to have. Buchanan has been able to open up his lead to a 2.5 over Colusa. Dornenberg holding on to 3rd place with Ryan Ford in 4th.
Who was that? That's Dornenberg spun around. He gets clobbered into by Sean Unterkuffler. And we're in the middle of the racetrack trying to escape more collisions. He's gotten off course, but there's Unterkuffler getting back on. What has happened to the driver that started this race in 2nd?
Ford has fallen back to the battle with Walker, so we'll see. It must have been those two coming together.
No, Dornenberg is going to loop it all on his own, and I think 74 he was the first one that had to go around him. He pulls back on the racetrack right in front of Unterkuffler. Unfortunately for Dornenberg, that'll cost him and Unterkuffler a lot of spots here tonight. Up front, though, Buchanan leading this race. Mitch Welker, the other Project 2 driver, has cycled into 3rd place. So for as bad as their first race went, they have benefited quite greatly from the second one.
Yeah, and that's what they had to do. They had to come out of this with as good a race as you can. If you're Welker, you need to catch Colusa and try to make this Project 2 1-2 for not only for their own drivers' championship hopes, but also their team championship hopes. As I'm going to take a look at the team championships right now, Project 2 Blueprint Racing, which I believe is Welker and Buchanan, are leading AOD Racing, which is Carter Kundinger, Mo Islam, and Dominic Dornenberg by just under 20 points in that championship, or actually it's more like 12 points separating them. So this could be big night for the team championships as well.
Sweeping through turn number 1, there's a pretty big gaggle from 5th place on back. Actually make that 6th. James Walker, Kundinger still nose to tail. Then Ryan Ford and Kurt Crum having a bit of a scrap here as they head through turn number 2.
I think things are starting to calm down a bit here as we are 4 laps into this race.
Morelli had a look at Kurt Crum into the flying chicane, backed out, lost all the momentum on corner exit, could not get the power down as Crum tries to reel in Ryan Plord. Plord having a little bit of connectivity issues there as we head into the 2nd of the 2 chicanes.
My camera guy seems to really like Mo Islam. He's been on this car for the entirety of race 1 and so far all of race 2. According to iRacing, he's where the exciting things are happening.
James Walker through Drew Lidke. That will trap Carter Kundinger behind him as we hit 7.5 minutes to go, basically halfway through this race. And now Walker has a 4.6 second climb to get to Jake Johansson, but this has been a very good points haul for the 97, even if he finishes here tonight.
Yeah, Walker's not going to be at all disappointed with the way that the second race is going for him, as he's already in 5th position. He's got just under halfway of this race left to potentially get up to a podium. It's going to be difficult, but if anyone has the speed, it's going to be James Walker.
Crum following a gaggle of cars right now from Drew Lidke on back as we head to turn number 3. Crum dives on the brakes, and I think the Plord blinking has got to be somewhat of a distraction to Crum. I think that's going to increase the intensity and probably expedite his climb forward as you see the 74 pop out of line on Mo Islam. They're going to get real tight through here, and Crum's going to slam over the curbing and get loose as the 095 goes by.
That risk versus reward. There's a lot that can go wrong going through that first chicane. See Kyle Lamb trying to make up position here and contact with Morelli.
Yeah, just kind of elbowed Morelli off course a little bit. He will cut that chicane and have to give up some time. I don't think he was thrilled about it either, and is holding up Lamb just a little bit. That's tit for tat right there. And all the while, Chris Hudson's getting tangled in these two as they battle for position. Oh, he gets hit from behind. And I think that was Crum that got into him, potentially.
This race has turned into a bit of a mess, I would say. Really all the way from lap 1. There's a lot of carnage happening. I'm not really sure, why this track seems to be so tight compared to the race 1.
Colin Daner smelling blood in the water here with Eric Brown in 15th and managed to get by Brown. I think chasing down Crum will be a challenge. Meanwhile, for the race lead, Buchanan has lost it. He's crashed. Where did he have an issue? The race leader is out of the race. Go back and have a look. He had trouble in turn number 1 earlier tonight, but he's going to track out at turn number 2. Oh, hardware failure there. You see the wheel snap to the left, and the car just darts for the fence.
That must have been it. There's no other reason that car should have acted that way. It looks like he knew something was happening here as he starts to slow down.
Just watch the arms here. They're going to snap to the left, right here. The pedals also stopped working, so that is horrible luck for Zach Buchanan. That's a perfect descriptor of 2020. The craziest things happening. He's gotten the car back rolling now, but that will gift the lead to Bryce Colusa. Now Mitch Welker can still bring home a victory for Project 2, but it's a 2.6-second gap to get back up there.
Yeah, Bryce Colusa did have the fastest lap last time by, but not by much over Welker. So Welker's going to have to do a lot in order to catch Colusa to potentially battle for this win, but I know Buchanan's got to be fuming with the way that his night's gone. This is not what he needed for his championship hopes. This is definitely going to be a throwaway week for him in terms of points and drop weeks. So he's just put all that much more pressure on the rest of the weeks remaining in the season. He's going to be really upset about this one.
Meanwhile, Mo Islam and Ryan Plord, they are having a pretty good scrap here for 7th spot. Plord chasing the 206 down. Some damage to the right rear of Islam's car. And Drew Lidke just up the road, about 9/10 of a second. That's for 6th. 3.5 minutes to go. Bryce Colusa has inherited the lead. Mitch Welker was faster last time by. And I think if he can put some pressure on Colusa, he's certainly got a chance left to go run him down. Look at the brakes glowing on that number 5, and Mitch Welker also got those brake rotors glowing red hot as he tries to run down the 5 and avenge his teammate who had that issue a lap and a half ago.
Yeah, Welker is really pushing hard to try to close this gap. He's going to need to close a little bit more than just a couple tenths that he beat Colusa by last time, but we'll see what they do coming across the line this time by in just a few seconds. See if Welker's been able to manage to bring down that gap even more.
Braking zone for Welker, gained a little bit there. This time through should be about 3 laps to go, maybe 2 as we come across the line. We'll see if it's a gain. A 129.704, a 129.325, 4/10th gain that time for the 77. He's got to keep that coming though.
Yeah, I think even at this point rate, he's going to need even more than that in order to make this happen. But the trick is Colusa even paying attention to that gap? If he is, then potentially you can get 2. And we're starting to see that the sun is really starting to set. That could change some of the visual markings and the cues that these drivers are taking for their turn-ins and braking points. See if that affects anybody's last couple laps here tonight.
Well, the other thing to consider is that I don't really necessarily know that chasing drivers down is a perfectly linear relationship. I think when you get close enough, that kind of prompts mistakes. So if Welker can get within about a second and a half, he might be able to make Colusa make a mistake that will gift him the other second and a half that he needs. So 2.3 is the gap now, as they will be coming to what I expect to be either 2 or 1 lap to go. Now, given the pace that Walker ran in race 1 and how we've kind of swapped leaders here, I would expect this to be the white flag next time by, and it looks like that might be the case.
Yeah, if we stay on Colusa here, coming across, my timing and scoring has just 1 minute and 40 seconds left. I think by the time they get to the line, they're going to be under a minute and a half, so this should be the white flag.
Final lap for Bryce Colusa out up front. Recently bumped up to pro status here in SCRS Ferrari Challenge. White flag for the race leader after Zach Buchanan had a hardware failure that has put his car all the way down the order in 22nd place after leading the opening couple laps. Colusa leads Buchanan's teammate Welker by 2.4 and actually was a little bit faster than Welker on the previous lap around.
Yeah, Colusa putting in the lap he needed to when he needed to do it. Welker was not able to do anything to close that gap. So Colusa's just looking for one decently solid lap to close this out and get his first pro AM win in the SCRS Championship. He already has an AM Cup feature win on his resume from earlier this year. We'll see if he's able to last this last half a lap to be able to take home his first Pro-Am win, which will be huge for him in the championship and just as far as confidence goes for the second half of the season.
Regardless of the issue that Buchanan had, this is still a statement for sure for Bryce Colusa to go out here and hold off Mitch Welker, who we know is no slouch. He's won races in SCRS Ferrari Challenge at the Pro-Am level before. He's not slow, and the fact that Colusa's actually gapped Welker just a touch here in the penultimate lap, that tells me that Colusa is on it. And while it took a circumstance to put him in this lead, he's able to hang on to it. Bryce Colusa through the final chicane here at Circuit Zolder. Checkered flag waves for the first time ever in a Pro-Am race. Bryce Colusa will bring home a checkered flag in SCRS Ferrari Challenge in round number 5. Mitch Welker finishes second. Jake Johansson brings home a nice quiet third, and James Walker all the way from 18th to 4th, plus 14 spots, plus 12 for Carter Kundinger. He comes home 5th. Lidkey 6th, and then Mo Islam, Ryan Plord, Corey Bunch, Kyle Lamb, the rest of your top 10. And that's pretty much all the position shuffling we're going to see. What a night of racing. Race 2, a mess out there, Eric, but that's how it is sometimes when you have so many drivers fighting on a narrow, tight, twisty racetrack.
Yeah, not really sure. It'll be interesting to see what the conversation is in the Discord afterwards. Not really sure why race 2 was as hectic as it was. We haven't really seen these drivers on a track like this get that out of whack, but this one definitely seemed to just turn up the wick just a little bit more. So it could be just the halfway point of this championship, everybody realizing that they need to step it up, and that led to a pretty hectic race number 2. But congratulations to Bryce Colusa on his victory, and then Mitch Welker and Jake Johansson rounding out your podium positions.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment for interviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to Sim TV here now with our AM race winner, Ryan Plord in the number 74. You pulled off a 8th place finish in the second Pro-Am race of the night. So all in all, not a bad evening for you, Ryan. Take me through the first race of the evening and then the subsequent Pro-Am races, which we saw were pretty messy that second time around.
Yeah, I definitely got to say, I dumped all of my concentration into that AM race. It seemed like I had pace, and when I managed to get a pole, I just focused on getting a good start and just hit my marks. I think I managed a 0-incident race, so I'm super happy with that. And then we get to race 1 of the Pro-Am, and you see the sun in your eyes in turn 1 and for that last chicane. It becomes really difficult to hit your marks, and so that's where I was struggling the most. But I think for the most part, I kept it clean, and so that's really what I was going for. I had an incident on the chicane, self-spin, but fortunately didn't collect anybody. It kind of set me up nice for a good start in that second race. And I'm really happy with my results. I had someone spin in front of me in turn 1. There was no way I could avoid hitting them if I stayed in it at all. So I had to take the route around the outside and through the gravel. I think I lost 7 places. So to pick back up into 8th, I'm happy enough with that.
Well, Ryan Plord, winner of the AM Cup race, and now 8th in race number 2 of the Pro-Am. Congratulations. We'll see you next week at Bathurst. Moving on now to James Walker, who was the winner of the first Pro-Am race of the evening. A couple weeks off, like riding a bike. James, take us through your night and then the battle forward in the final race.
Yeah, it was really fun. Carter had a lot of speed, and he kept me on my toes. I'm surprised we ended up, we finished off the first race. We were 1-2, and then we went through the field in the second race. Still 1-2. stuff, but fun.
A pretty successful night for you. We head to Bathurst next week. Your thoughts on that racetrack, heading up and down the mountain, your confidence level going in there?
Did very well there in the Porsche Cup, so hopefully that translates to the Ferrari.
A little bit different chassis. Good luck to you next week, James. We'll see you in Australia.
Thank you.
Last driver of the night to talk to, Bryce Colusa, the Race 2 winner. Took a little bit of a circumstance to put you in that position, Bryce, but you only had an Am Cup victory before. Now you are a Pro-Am winner in SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Take me through your night, the battle forward, and getting by Buchanan and holding off his teammate to get your first win in Pro-Am.
Yeah, so I just bought this track last night, and I think I did like 20 laps of practice. Didn't have time. I got home late, so I didn't have time to qualify. So started in the back and raced one. Objective was pretty much just to avoid the carnage and get through with a decent finish and make the invert. Race 2, yeah, that was unfortunate what happened to Buchanan, but I think he said his Fanatec driver's update or something like that. So unfortunate failure there, but I will take it. And I was a little concerned because Mitch behind me is a very fast guy, so I was a little worried that he was going to catch up, but I was able to hold him off.
We head to Bathurst next week. That's a big unknown for a lot of the new drivers here. Those that have been around for a while have had some experience. Your thoughts on Australia and how the mountain's going to treat you next week?
Yeah, so I've been on Bathurst quite a bit. Competed in 2 of the 12-hour events, so I think I'll be able to do pretty well in this. We'll have to see.
All right, Bryce Colusa, winner of the Pro-Am second race of the evening. Bryce, good luck to you next week. We'll talk to you there.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for the broadcast here tonight for SCRS Ferrari Challenge round number 5. Next week, Bathurst. Eric, that's going to be a fun one. We've been there before. We're going to do it again. That's always climbing up and down the mountain is always a challenge, but I think with the field counts and field sizes we've got, it's certainly going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be real fun to watch this field of drivers. Hopefully, a little bit of me wants to see. On one end, wants to see about what we had here today show up, but on the other hand, that would be the track that you want to see 40 guys try to get around the mountain as fast as they can, as hard as they can, and just kind of see what happens. So looking forward to next week. Bathurst should really separate the men from the boys as far as who can get around that track fast and efficient. So looking forward to seeing what this does as we enter the second half of the championship for the Ferrari Challenge.
All right, well, I'm Kyle High with Eric Mickey. We'll see you next week from Bathurst. Next stream you're going to see Saturday morning, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern, Formula I, F3, and F1 World Championship. We'll see you again on Saturday morning. Have a good night.